This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, September the 24th, could have been Eddie George, but because I already did a football personality, I gotta do someone else from another sport. So I'm taking baseball. So Rafa Palmeiro is here. He's going to be 57 today. But what's interesting is how good he was, and he played to the age of 41. He he came from Cuba to America. Then he played for Mississippi State in baseball before being drafted by the Cubs. He played for the Cubs, Texas, and Baltimore. And he was a four-time All-Star. Only six players in MLB history have hit 500 home runs and 3,000 hits. He's one of them. But days after his 3,000th hit, he got caught with an anabolic steroid. He was drafted by the New York Mets in the 8th round of the '82 draft. He didn't sign. He wanted to play college ball and played for Mississippi State. Him and Will Clark were named as Thunder and Lightning to help Mississippi State do well. Unfortunately, they did dislike each other. All that. Palmeiro would be drafted 22nd in the 1985 drafts by the Cubs. So he played for the Cubs. He would debut with the Cubs in 1986 as a left fielder, which was weird because he usually was the first baseman. He did okay. Well, he played 22 years, and then 22 games, sorry. And then his next season, he played 84 games, hitting 14 home runs. Pretty good. He normally would play left field with the Cubs. He actually ended up runner-up in the batting title in 1988 for the Cubs, behind Tony Gwynn, with a 307 mark. He was named to the 1988 MLB All-Star Game. There were rumors that were spreading that Palmeiro had a relationship with Ryne Sandberg's wife, Cindy. Unfortunately, those issues would lead to his departure to Texas. The Cubs traded Palmeiro, Jamie Moyer, and a nobody to Texas for Mitch Williams and a bunch of nobodies themselves. So yeah, Jamie Moyer was a Chicago Cub. People forget about that. But Rafa Palmeiro was to Texas. People forget that Mitch Williams was a Texas Ranger at one time. They went to the Cubs. So anyway, Palmeiro was made a first baseman / DH for Texas because he was in the American League. And he blossomed. He was the league leader in hits in 1990 and doubles in 91. In 1990, the hits, he got third place in batting title with 319. He was named to the 91 All-Star Game, the famous All-Star Game in Toronto, while having 26 home runs, 88 RBIs. He bounced back for Texas with a 37 home run season. So, unfortunately, Texas signed Will Clark. Yeah, so he had a contract year and it was offered a 5-year, $26 million contract. But because of Will Clark and his disdain for his Mississippi State teammate, Palmeiro decided to leave Texas because he didn't like Will Clark. So Palmeiro shifted gears to Baltimore. He was signed a 5-year, $30 million deal with Baltimore. He did okay, all that. He had 76 RBIs in the work-shortened 1994 season. That was the last time he would have less than 100 RBIs until 2004. Palmeiro, before the 95 season, only hit more than 30 home runs once, and that was 93 with 37. So he would basically hit more than 35 home runs a year, every year till 2003 from 95 on. In the 9-year span, he had 373 home runs, and he drove in over 100 runs every time. Strange as it sounds, Palmeiro never led the AL in home runs and was history's most prolific home run hitter, never to win a home run crown in the American or National League. He hit 39 home runs to help Baltimore get into the wild card for the 96 season. He did okay with a 205 average, by a 205 average as the Orioles beat Cleveland in the division series before facing the New York Yankees in the LCS. He would finish sixth in MVP voting. In 97, he would have helped Baltimore get the AL East division, taking care of things until Cleveland took him out in 6 games, shockingly. That was the last time Baltimore would, the 97 season, would make the playoffs, still 2012, and the last time they won a division title, until 2014. He had 43 home runs for the Orioles in the 98 season, getting to the All-Star game. Palmeiro was given a 5-year, $50 million deal to stay with Baltimore, but instead decided to take less money to return to Texas. He wanted to be close to his family. Palmeiro, in his second tenure with the Rangers, did well. He got to the 99 All-Star game, which was his last selection. He won a Gold Glove despite the fact that he played 128 games as a DH. So Palmeiro was a bright spot for Texas, but Texas did not enjoy things. Palmeiro would hit his 500th home run against David Elder of the Indians. In 10 years with the team, in 10 years with Texas, he played in over 1,500 games, getting 1,692 hits, 321 home runs, and 1,039 RBIs. Palmeiro would re-sign with Baltimore on a 1-year deal. A little bit old and a little bit wiser. And if Palmeiro went to the Hall of Fame, he wanted to be an Oriole. Well, he got a lot of dips and all that. But in 2004, he got to be one of only 6 players in MLB history to hit 200 home runs for 2 different clubs. Ken Griffey Jr., Mark McGwire, Jimmy Fox, Albert Pujols, and Man Ram are the others. Entering 2005, he wanted the 3,000 hit marks. He was only 78 short. He did it. July 15th, he got his 3,000th hit. Sadly, though, Palmeiro was booted because he tested positive for steroids. He said he received a tainted vitamin B12 shot from Miguel Tejada. So Baltimore basically had no choice but to let him stay home and all that. He would finish his career with over 2,800 games played, which was the most by a player who was not in the World Series. Palmeiro did okay, in a sense. 569 home runs, 1,835 RBIs in his career. So, yeah. Palmeiro was in the Mississippi State and National College Baseball Hall of Fame. He was eligible in 2011 to be inducted to the Hall of Fame, but unfortunately, not so much. In 2014, he received insufficient support to remain on the Hall of Fame ballot for many years, when he only hit 4.4% on ballots. So he'll have to be in as some kind of modern era person. Palmeiro would famously be criticized. He tested positive for steroids August 2005, and then he was at that grand jury thing March 17, 2005, and said, "Let me start by telling you, I have never used steroids, period. I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that, never." So unfortunately, that failed miserably. So, yeah. Anyway. Palmeiro, thank goodness for him, um, passed a polygraph test, so he did lie under Congress. But anyway, Palmeiro lives in Texas with his wife. His son Preston is in the LA Angels organization. His other son Patrick wanted to play too, so he tried to play with Patrick. I feel bad for Palmeiro in a sense, but you know what? He deserved what he got. And the irony is that months after he did that finger pointing thing at the Congress thing, he got in trouble with steroids. How ironic. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.